Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Always Be Testing podcast. I'm your host, Tye DeGrange, and we've got Cormac Jonas today. Cormac, what's up, man?
How's it going, Ty?
I'm good. I'm good. I like we said, we're surviving the winter storm Fern, as they call it, and so kids running around stuck at home. But otherwise,
I had to ruin their entire week by plow. We have the only steep hill driveway in the neighborhood, and it had become the centerpiece of our neighborhood over the last 3 days. And so, with like 2 inches of ice on it, and I had to take that apart to get out. But outside of that, tragedy for them.
wow,
It's been pretty smooth sailing.
they were hoping to ski down the hill or
Oh, they've
toboggan.
been sledding on it for days. And so all of the neighborhood kids had gathered, and then we had to make the unfortunate announcement like, hey, we have to be able to drive out of here. You guys have eaten all the food. And so
That's
we had
awesome.
to take it down. But it was all in all, they loved it. Very rare for them to get to go sledding for a couple days in Texas.
Well done. Yeah, we're not brave enough yet. I've seen so many like people in our hood slipping and sliding around, even with four wheel. We just said, nope, we're staying home. We got our fire going. We've got enough food till we'll be going out tomorrow for sure. Tomorrow's the day we'll be getting food because it'll be pretty much gone by then. But c'est la vie.
Yep, absolutely.
I love it. This is going to be a good one. Cormac is a return guest to the pod. He's the founder and CEO of Jonas Agency, and I mean, you've seen it a lot in this game. You've gone from partnerized, Retail Me Not, to TikTok, to launching Savor. Um, Through all of that, just give people the context of like what you're kind of problem solving and what you're bringing for brands right now, so they can put it into context.
Yeah, kind of the through line through all of them really is attribution of marketing and understanding, right? Whether it be it's all content, right? Whether it's a coupon back in the day being searched up or something along those
Yep.
lines, it's all content. And so how that content drives outcomes for a business has been the through line that's really kind of top to bottom for me.
That's awesome. Near and dear to our work, to what we've helped people with, and find is often there's so many misnomers in it, and it's great to hear that you're there and hits on a lot of the conversations we've had. Um, you got to lead sports entertainment media at TikTok. What's something that you think got like totally flipped or maybe overturned in terms of like the actual performance data, a belief that just kind of changed for you in your experience there?
Yeah, I would say that there's two really. Number one was the volume of high intent search. And this is back in 2023, right? It was, you know, um, kind of the misnomer among marketers, especially performance marketers at that point, was that it was only teens and jeans. That's all you were reaching on TikTok, and in reality, it was very different. And kind of watching, the attribution blindness there caused by
Hmm.
no UTM's leaving the parameter, right, on organic traffic, really drove kind of, hey, people aren't able to see this market; it's impacting them. But then you kind of had this weird paradox because that happened during the pandemic, right? Where all the TikTok kind of exploded.
Hmm.
All that traffic was tracked as direct for brands. And so you have this, do I go back and say, hey, we've been misattributing this traffic for a long period? And so some brands have, some brands haven't. A number of the brands that I work with were kind of early adopters there, not shockingly, but really understood the amount of traffic that can be driven both,
Hmm.
from video formats.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I mean, imagine you got to see a lot at a critical time, which is super interesting. Now we're in this other critical time with the explosion of AI, among other things. Before we jump into your topic du jour, our topic du jour, honey, and maybe drop some what's coming for 2026 predictions and fun stuff like that. What's like I've been doing some, writing on 2025. I've got my little prediction thing dropping tomorrow. What is your take on 2025? What we saw, what happened, for people to make sense of it in the world of performance marketing.
Yeah, I think it was kind of the shift away from Google. is what people started to see. A big one, especially in terms of text. Kind of the traditional text search ads. Hugely diminishing market. The one I was surprised about was the lack of Andromeda adoption on Meta in 2025. The number of people I saw still running, old 322 structures, and specifically within
Paid
Shopify.
ads on Meta.
Yeah, paid
Yep.
ads on Meta, your 3 campaigns, 2 ad sets, 2 creative per ad set. And Meta in 2024 was like, hey, don't do that anymore. And it took a long time for it to be adopted. I think it's kind of on both sides. For a long time, there's a lot of folks who kind of feel like they have a special sauce on Meta.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
reality, it's
Hard to let go of
rigorous.
that.
Well, it's rigorous adherence to best practices is really the best special sauce you can do. And with how slowly Andromeda rolled out, you can see that not a lot of people are reading their actual product updates.
Yeah. And is the for folks that are following along at home,
Yeah,
it's just kind of like give people in a sense of what it is and what the benefit was to
yeah,
it, and just TLDR, and we can kind of hit some of the other
100%.
topics on
Meta
2025.
basically switched from targeting a consumer with like kind of this is our retargeting group, this is our discovery group, this is our conversion group, and said, hey, really, this is much more the person, like persona, and their amount of desire and awareness of the product. And so they switch the methodology. And rather than having multiple campaigns, what they want is massive amount of creative diversity in a single campaign. So from instead of doing super specialized siloed campaigns, having one campaign and letting kind of their AI kind of do the math and figure out which ad sets should drive conversion, right? Which is best for discovery to drive conversion the fastest or the highest value. And
Yeah.
it effectively learns
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Got it. No, it's good to know. And I feel like there was sort of, I don't know, maybe a tale of two Googles, for lack of a better term. I'll share this when my newsletter drops tomorrow, but I was predicting a pullback from Google as well, and we did see some of that. Um, in search queries, organic traffic, the lack of traffic coming from attributable. But then at the same time, you see this YouTube, absolutely crushing it, which I'm sure you're recognizing as well. You're seeing the Gemini kind of resurgence, so it's really interesting, trend spotting wise from 2025.
100%. Well, a couple like YouTube has been massive, and I truly believe, kind of across the board, that all roads lead back to YouTube. I think not just the fact that a huge volume of us during the pandemic like conditioned our children on this is the good place to go find information and entertainment, but
Yeah,
then on top of it, they have the maturity and the data from the Google side of things. The scariest part where I've noticed that marketers and affiliate and otherwise haven't really reacted here is last year Google passed like cable for TV viewing. Like
yeah.
right, like there are more people watching
They're
YouTube on the
exceeding the
television.
stream, exceeding the other streaming platforms. Is that what you're
Oh,
referring to?
not
Yeah,
exceeding cable and streaming
yeah,
platforms. Like they are the most watched thing on televisions. And I think
yeah,
for a lot of the gray hairs like me, that isn't as appreciated. Right? They're like, oh, it's TV. People watch TV on TV. It's like, no, they're watching YouTube there. And if you're not targeting, you're missing the
yeah,
most interactive search engine in their house.
yeah. It's crazy. Um, yeah. Other No, that's awesome. Any other things that 2025 brought for you from like a learnings perspective or from like an affiliate perspective?
I mean, this will probably dovetail into our just how much fraud there is out there. Just how
Yeah,
much, like, and
yeah,
this independent of honey and whatever about last click, overriding last click within retail media networks, programmatic ads, um, CTV. There is so much fraud generated simply because there's an expectation that there's an unending supply of paid media to buy. Right? You can't go to any of the retail media networks and effectively like outbuy their supply for a day, right? You can't, and so which leads
There's
to
always more.
somehow magically there's always more. And so but that really was and how important it is to really attribution is becoming even more important for brands as they go forward, knowing where actual transactions are coming from. Black Friday last year was the first time since the 2000 pre 2010 that bot traffic outnumbered humans on the internet. It used to be that way because we didn't have enough computers. Nope, they've come back, and it's a lot of it
Hmm.
is the AI searches generating huge volume of searches. But if you use ChatGPT or Claude on your personal computer, all those programmatic ads are served to you that are never seen, right? It's simply to a bot. And so being able to effectively filter that out is key.
Are you seeing on programmatic things that clients are doing specifically around that? You kind of referenced it a little, but what are some things that you suggest people look for or just be mindful of around programmatic
Treat it like the
specifically?
farmer's market. Buy direct. Know your source. That 100, that is it. Anybody who says they have a partner network or display network or can't, I understand the walled garden, there are walled gardens in this world, there's a handful, but kind of what waters them, right? Like if I look at Walmart, their website traffic is down. Their in-store foot traffic is also down year over year. Has been for a couple of years, kind of in decline. But the price of their ads has gone up substantially during that time. And so knowing where you're buying and what you're buying is super important, and making sure that you're actually attributing it back to the sales you're getting.
Yep, love that. Attributions come up a lot. What are some things that you suggest people to look for, or maybe as a best practice, think about from an attribution setup perspective, or maybe what are some things that you come at it with when you help clients on that challenge?
Absolutely. Top level is, a little fun cheat code for everybody. Even if you're not buying ads on a platform, turning on your ad account, having a credit card available will help you see increases because they want you to spend money. And so you'll start seeing ad tests and ad credits and those sort of things. I know, within Meta and TikTok and others, they'll start incentivizing you. That's really good kind of for folks who are newer to platforms to build up some. There's kind of on the attribution front, it's really important to get to what they call signals optimal, which is the conversions API tracking if you're in WooCommerce or Shopify doing e-commerce. That's a huge one. The other one that folks don't do enough is the on-platform lead forms. Number one, your website's probably not that good. Number two, Meta would rather you stay on Instagram or on Facebook in the app. And so you pay a lot less if you don't make them leave. The other thing is, we both know from being in lead gen and affiliate space forever, people give Instagram their real email. They give lead forms a fake email. And so using those on page lead forms gets you the real data that you actually want to get from the consumer.
Yeah, no, love that. I think Mike, who you know on our team, would love to go deep on those with you, having ran a lot of media and we've seen a lot
Yeah.
of those stories too. That's a really cool. Those are good call outs, just concrete takeaways for people that are thinking about some good setup best practice for the
A lot
channel
of
and
it
for
is
paid
that.
media.
I mean, you can only out optimize a bad, like it's like out exercising a bad diet,
Yeah.
right? It just like you can't do it. And so you
Yep.
can optimize your campaigns as well as you want, but if you're throttling the amount of discovery you have at the top with crappy settings and out of date setup, it's just not going to benefit you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Um, let's get into the juicy topic du jour. Let's you came at it with some really good call outs on LinkedIn. This has been really heated, maybe much, but it's an interesting topic at the very least. And you don't want to see the fraud or the folks in violation, if you will. Uh, for the industry and for a variety of reasons. It's going to be really interesting. But give people your perspective on the honey saga that's dropped on the affiliate industry over the last few weeks.
Yeah, it feels like, well, first off, if you look, there's a couple folks who here, Mega Lag and Ben Edelman did the lion's share of the work here, on kind of digging up and finding the hard proof to link this. But Mega Lag posted a YouTube video in 2024, first kind of going over like the attribution issue, which is effectively Honey would overwrite pixels, for creators, influencers, and other affiliates, and which was against the terms of service for the networks. They weren't supposed to be doing it, but it was wink, wink, the handshake style agreements, right? Um, Effectively, what ended up coming on the back end of it was a year later, they did a huge amount of research and were able to pull out what they put into the defeat device. And that's really the part that kind of shows they know that they were doing something wrong. They were looking for people. Basically, they would not overwrite your pixel if you had affiliate cookies on your computer, because everybody works, their competitors or who would be doing compliance is going to have cookies from Impact, AWIN, CJ, one of those. And so that's kind of a big part. Really, I think where it comes from is the fact that I've never seen a browser extension that's driven incremental sales. And primarily because they just haven't been adopted by users at all. Affiliate marketing is where they should be used the most, because for finding pixels, checking setups, things of that nature, there are very good usable browser extensions. But of the shopping ones, almost none drive incremental clicks. I think we were talking last week, and I was checking around, like, Honey used to light up on your screen like a Vegas slot machine, right? Like, that's, you hit a checkout and it just started, like, lights are going off, you just won. That was solely to drive engagement. It's very different. Love them or hate them with coupon sites like Retail Me Not. The user took a tangible action to open another browser, go to Google and look for coupons, click through, and end up, applying. There was enough of a speed bump that you could prove A, incrementality, and B, whenever we did holdout tests there, we found pretty accurate, or pretty actively, that those users spent more. They were getting a coupon to increase their buying power, not to kind of, qualify for a brand they wouldn't otherwise buy.
Are you referencing holdout tests done while you tell me not to
Yeah.
kind of measure incrementality with brands?
We were doing it constantly because, right, coupon sites were never ever anybody's favorite, right, source of traffic, but it kind of led to the, we got very good at proving our value. And specifically doing holdout tests, yes, they would see decreases in volume, because for that cohort of coupon shoppers, they had a behavior pattern that they emulated consistently, right? They would go to Retail Me Not, look for a coupon, and go. And it worked very well for a long time. We had a browser extension too around the same time. I don't know the exact data on the how it did or anything like that. Wasn't kind of my purview, but
Sure.
I have not seen user engagement stats on any of them where it makes sense for kind of the cut that they're taking.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, when you get, thinking about value, just of that experience you had, which is really interesting, basic structure setup, how did you get those tests? How did you experiment? Thinking about how the experiment was run, just curious about the
Yeah.
methodology to learn more about how you guys saw that.
It would depend. We did it both on, we could do holdout tests between like a paid search URL and like an organic URL, where the pages look a little bit differently. Additionally, there were all kinds of holdout tests done consistently across, Retail Me Not, for years and years and years.
Oh yeah.
And they always, it usually came because a brand didn't want to pay us. And then we
Yep.
had to prove why we were driving value, and then they would continue to pay us. Kind of looking at the honey, this is the part that really bugs me with the honey stuff. And I appreciate that now, a year after the fact, a handful of the networks have taken action. But the craziest part about like they if they didn't know before 2024, they definitely knew then. But like Honey's dropped 6 million users. That's why Rakuten and Impact got brave enough to kick them off their networks. Right? Like at the end of the day, that's why this is happening. It's because Honey's not driving meaningful traffic anymore. If they were driving meaningful traffic, we would be finding reasons to keep them alive on all these networks. And it's why only one has kicked them off. There's two, I believe, that have sent out notices saying they're suspended. Pepper Jam still has them like quoted on their website. Great look. Um, they still have them there as like a
Is
trusted global partner. Oh, honey, they have
yeah.
quotes from them and everything. It's a great look.
It,
But when you put the Google affiliate network out of business, I guess you're not that worried about honey. So, but yeah,
it's
they, it's
it
crazy.
calls into it's concerning because talking about the timeline, right? Like there's kind of you're kind of make there's kind of the implication that if it was useful to the it raises the question if the partner was still commanding the volume and was still useful to the network, they would not have taken that action. Not just saying you're saying that, but is that kind of what you're thinking?
It's what they've done with other ones, right? Capital One, Shopping, WikiBuy, they settled in December last year with their pixel overwrite lawsuit, and it didn't get nearly as publicized. They also didn't bleed out all their users, likely because they actually had right price shopping, price monitoring is a bit of a service that they offer, and so they have an actual audience. But there's about 10 million affected users under theirs. Um, they're all still there, right? Nobody's looking to get rid of them all. And so, but yeah, it does. Like the networks know, like they have the data to prove it, right? They have. If you look, if you like, take for impact, everything works off of click IDs. And so they should be able to match up the user agents and the click IDs that came in and see it immediately across
Mhm.
Summit. Immediately. Just do it from a computer without any impact pixels on it. But so Honey doesn't block you. But no, they could look in the data and see it immediately. But I think there's probably twofold. There's a complicity issue, right? Nobody wants to admit they were complicit. It's much easier. The pearl clutching works way better, and especially like over a year after you were informed of the problem, like on YouTube by major creators. But I think realistically, what this comes down to, and I've seen it at large platforms, and this is what unfortunately happens. I think, like if I look in the grand scale, it is much easier to manage one honey versus 500 creators. And so, like, hey, they might be stealing some credit, but it's way easier to have one person, manage honey as part of a large scale than it is to manage 500 or 600 different creators who want payments and, different things for their videos and freebies. And they ask for a lot more. And so I think that drove a lot of the reasoning, right? Like more and more
Yeah,
as I
yeah.
see what's going on, like, and it's not just across honey, it's across kind of the various systems that we're learning don't really work. Is it laziness drives a huge amount of this? Like not wanting to do extra work is
I
where a lot
mean,
of these problems come out of.
it's insane how we see it so much in our world. And we've talked about this. Like it to run a program that's really above board, optimizing for incrementality, properly attributed, all of that stuff, and regularly growing is it's actually quite shocking how rare it is to see when we look under the hood of other programs, when we build out programs, when we take on things and improve them. And it is significantly harder. We often look at it like not even thinking about just what's in a network per se, but what else is out there for that brand's ICP, which I know is
Right.
really central to like how you think about, okay, are these segments of users, are these actual communities of interest, are these people that would really align well with what we're trying to do for a brand that you're consulting with. So it's really interesting. It's wild to step back and think that they um it's it there's all kinds of, I think, lessons and interesting things involved in this, but my hope is that it continues to set a higher standard and higher bar, and is a bit of a wake up call for a lot of people in our industry that that we all kind of need that, and I think more than others, and my hope is that that continues to wake people up a bit, because I don't think this is over. If we're looking at, in some ways it is, but in a lot of ways it is not.
No, well, I think funny enough, like I think affiliate will be fine because this has always been the way of affiliate, like heavy attribution, looking into this stuff. Like they will figure out what happened with Honey. Like there's too much tracking in affiliate for there not, like we know there's a paper trail, right? It's just going to rely on somebody like going, hey, here's all of 2023 and 2024 click data, like find it, and if you have user agents, you're going to be able to see it right away. Right, and so somebody that'll get figured out. Most marketing orgs do not put that same level of scrutiny onto their programmatic and their retail media side of things, and that's where they're like Honey was stealing from other affiliates, right? In a lot of cases, brands might have known, but also they could pay Honey a way reduced rate, right? If I'm paying Honey 1%, they're just helping my margins by stealing last click. And so you end up in, where brands haven't really been hungry to kind of come out and say it. And I'm sure there were brands that were able to see it in their multi-touch and went, hold on, it's way cheaper, right? Like I don't want to pay that creator a 20% rip when the coupon site's a nickel. And that drives a lot. Now, where Honey kind of screwed up with users was Honey Gold was a ripoff. They give you pennies compared to the commission rate, all of that stuff, and really didn't do enough to incentivize users to keep coming back. They built a universal shopping cart, right? Remember the Honey app? Let's not forget the Honey app. That was really just shittier, more expensive Temu. That's all it was, and nobody liked it. And so it kind of didn't go on. But I think there was knowledge within the space. Like it's too easy to prove it out. And I know we at Retail Me, like I had submitted complaints against Honey to Impact. We went to their party at CJU because they were like right across the street from them there years ago. And they were pretty open about like how much data and control they had over the browsers. And it is the code was all public facing. You could see it. So I think what the larger areas this year that hopefully start to get some light shed on them, like by far, CTV and programmatic need a healthy dose of disinfectant. There's a huge amount there that's just being shown to nothing. The other one is app loving, which if you're in the mobile app space, like they're way more. They're kind of the most egregious. And it'll be interesting to see because nobody's really put a ton of focus on it because really it's just mobile games and who gives a shit. But they're moving quick into e-commerce and into other areas because they have this kind of inflated volume, and they're auto downloading, right? Like they're doing all kinds of things that are easy to see, super provable. People have videos of it happening, like, and there's really no enforcement mechanism, and that's the part
I
that's going to disappoint.
Yeah, I think like my sentiment is like there's a lot of opportunity to democratize like better measurement, and I think that's kind of what we seem to be kind of coming at it from a similar angle of, you know enter the wild fun world of AI and GEO. That doesn't necessarily upend your entire measurement, but it makes a significant change in how you should think about it. The shift away from click-based attribution, I think, is something that we've talked about, and is going to continue to get talked about. And I think this underscores that the shift away from last click methodology. It's shocking to me that there's not more brands moving beyond. I think you touched on some of the reasons why the incentive wasn't necessarily there to the juice was sort of worth the squeeze at the macro level, dollar in, dollar out. It wasn't like you were losing, so it didn't really wake up call some brands. But I think some certain brands in this space are, you know, did probably have evidence to suggest they needed to shift their thinking to a more, full funnel, multi-touch, exposure-based view, and then eventually get into more, MMM, incrementality testing, things like that for those that have the volume to justify it. So I think it's my hope is that more of these conversations can help just elevate the importance of, yeah, it does matter to attribute appropriately across partners, regardless of where the chips fall. And we've kind of got more tooling and knowledge out there to do it.
Yeah, 100%. And one specifically on the toolbars, like I've always these things are like zombie marketing, right? Like they really are. Like there was Shop at Home back in the day, and they got nixed because you couldn't uninstall it, and it stole all the last clicks too. It is, I will note, pretty funny of the ones that are in the space. Who knows what happens with Honey and Capital One Shopping, but Google updated their rules around reporting on user interaction and engagement in toolbars, and like Microsoft immediately shuttered that shit. Like Bing Shopping went away like overnight when they were like, "Oh, you have to show real user engagement data," and I think that's going to be the thing that kills them. Is that hey, a user having to actually, click on the puzzle piece and click on your go down and pick the extension. That's nobody's going to do that, at least not in a large enough scale to support a business. And so I think that'll be interesting to see. But I think, there's kind of within it, the right there, the platforms, right? Google Web Store could have solved for this years ago. Right. And so it's some of those where we need a little bit more marketplace oversight, right? In lieu of
Yeah.
like, if you don't want regulation from government entities, which they don't understand ad products, and I don't believe that they're the right ones to be able to come and regulate it, then we need the platforms to actually police what they're putting out there, and ensure that these things comply. And it really is. The difficulty is that there's just no money in telling Honey to go away, right? If they show up with a giant bag of money to buy ads and downloads, like it becomes one of the ethics tests that we as a society or as a species really keep failing repeatedly. Um, right?
Yeah.
Like we can trust them to do the right thing, right? Like no, literally, we can never trust them to do the right thing ever. Right? They're
You,
humans. They're not going to do the right thing.
do you want to see the networks taking more of that active role on? You kind of alluded to platforms.
I
Would you
think they're.
include the
I think
networks in
they
that?
off. I think they're going to. I think they're getting offed. My gut would be that they go away because the platforms that actually own the audiences are starting their own affiliate networks. Right, YouTube now big push on affiliate. Same with Meta, huge push on affiliate. TikTok built on creators, and kind of scaling on that front. And aside from whatever about the new US algorithm. But that
So
that's where I see
this is
the
where it
difference
gets.
going, right? Like I think it moves there.
So if you could look ahead as you think about 2026 and beyond, you're seeing a world where, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying downloadable software partners, browser extensions are really phased out, possibly, and then the networks themselves phased out as well.
I the start. I'm not going to say they're gone overnight. Like it's not going to be that sort of move. But if I am at a Nike, right, it is far better for me to have a YouTube, like a creator team that touches on all of my social platforms internally with my media buyers, because one amplifies the next. And so, right, like my top organic content should be my top paid content on those same platforms. Um, and so I think it'll be there. But the fact that the creators tend to be, unless you're Mr. Beast, right, you're kind of siloed by platform. Not a ton of them have multi-platform. And so having tracking on the platform where they're already comfortable makes adoption much easier. It's going to make everything work. The hard parts of working with creators is getting them to use the right links and do all of that. If we can automate that, because Google just turned it on with Google, with on YouTube with Google Shopping, problem solved, right? We took away a huge amount of labor out of what we had to do before. And it's kind of, that was that leg of the stool, that pain in the ass part that made it hard to work with creators. And that wall has come down a ton. And so I think they're the brands that get in early would
Yep.
naturally move away from a CJ or an Impact, to go, hey, I'd rather not pay any affiliate fees or SaaS fees or any, fees there, and work directly with a creator on YouTube or Meta or TikTok, especially
Yeah.
because they're going to give me more. They're going to give me ad credits. They're going to give me things that actually benefit my overall program.
Is there a world in the non-social might be a bit of a misnomer, but um, for that scenario, what do you see as the affiliate community angle or way to work with the Googles, Metas of the world, TikToks? How do you see the affiliate quote unquote community kind of navigating that world and being a complementary value add in that ecosystem or not? I'm curious to get your
Oh,
perspective on that.
I think there's a lot of, number one is going to be how, right? Like this is all going to be brand new learnings for a lot of the brands. And so for the people who've been in the affiliate space for a long time, I think there's going to be a huge amount of opportunity and growth for both in educating brands on how to do it, but also in learning these new platforms, right? We all remember back in the day when like share sale was like the standard. Like it gets better, things change over time and they move. So I don't necessarily think it's bad there. Where I would say if I'm a publisher who doesn't own my audience, I'm scared. If I
Yeah.
do not have an audience that I actually own and who is coming to me voluntarily, that is very scary. And those folks in the affiliate space should be very worried, right? Like, look,
Well,
as soon as, I mean, Honey, it took one YouTube video and Honey lost 6 million users. Now, granted, they were doing a lot of bad stuff, and but what they found was that their primary audience cared more about the creators they were following than the coupon partner. And so, kind of within that, like for publishers, building that kind of base where your audience cares enough about you to change their behavior is going to be key in that. For Linus Tech Tips and other people, their programs do great, right? They're doing a huge amount of volume in views, and their engaged audiences actually buy the things that they advertise.
yeah,
That's going to be for going forward.
it's it's wild because they've just been getting hit. The publishers or the content creators have gotten hit twice in some ways with social, and then
Yeah.
AI is absolutely a whole nother battleground that's being fought out actively and figured out as we speak. Right?
Yeah, and I think twofold. I think you'll also see like affiliate V3 coming up, right? The third wave affiliate, where there was huge amount of coupon dependency early days, kind of in the affiliate space, and then kind of email marketing, I guess, was kind of the first, wave one, and then into e-commerce, kind of coupon sites and others. Now with social commerce, kind of springing up, much, I think you'll see the larger companies kind of have trouble, and I think you'll see new platforms that are kind of figuring it out. Um, I look across some of the creators and some of the even within sports and others where they're really starting to get smart and NIL creators, and I think that area you're going to see a massive explosion in 2026, because it's just too affordable for brands to kind of get in there, and those live so long. The other part will be really their UGC strategies, specifically around consumer reviews and other things, are massively important to both their paid and organic strategies going forward. And so it'll be interesting to see. But yes, I think you'll see a deplatforming more of like your large consolidated. We had that huge consolidation wave where everybody bought up all the websites together. I think those are in trouble. Websites I would have largely going away, like the kind of destination URL to then hop out and go
Yep.
somewhere else,
Yep.
is
Yep.
becoming largely obsolete. Um,
Yep.
and
Yep.
if I can do better with lead forms on platform than I can on my website, then over time you'll see that start to trickle into more service-based businesses as well.
Yep. Well, just stepping back, I love like some of the things we've talked about here, getting the attribution dialed in, going right to the source, for the publisher or the content creator, thinking about having that positive, direct relationship with your audience. These are things that, we've talked about and interacted with and dealt with, but I think a lot of people don't always understand how it's put into practice. And it seems like, hey, it's playing out in real time with the Honey Saga. And you've given some, you know, amazing spicy takes as we've discussed. Cormac, tip the cap. What's personally anything on tap for 2026 you want to hit on, or things that
Yeah,
you're
I mean,
trying
a
to
couple. So I
accomplish?
we've really done very, very well, kind of with implementing video strategy for like outcome based, and it's been working better and better and better. We had one, you know, we and it's been. I've been super impressed by the ability for the strategy to mold across verticals. We have a plumber who started doing YouTube last year, who's added 10 million in ARR to their business. Um, we're working with like
Wow,
a
that's
couple of
nuts.
national franchise. Yeah. And that was in like 5 DMAs. And it was really the learnings there for businesses, specifically service businesses and local. There's a huge amount. But even on a national scale, I've started working with a handful of kind of national brands that franchise, and being able to input like effectively how to get your franchises creating content in a way that drives organic outcomes on video. It changes their entire operating procedure, and it's super fun to watch.
Heck yeah,
And so
let's go.
that's been an exciting one. On the e-commerce fronts, they've, in a lot of cases, e-commerce at this point has gotten to there's it's very formulaic, and there is definitely a winning playbook, in terms of the tracking and attribution, the play, how you set up your technical side of the world, but then also kind of on the content creation front, in terms of how brands should be attacking it, how they should be cross posting to different platforms. Really, that's going to be an exciting one in
I love
26.
it.
So
I love it.
both of those.
You've got some really good things going, Cormac, with the agency, with the learnings. I think a ton of knowledge to share with clients and just the industry and folks that you're working with. So always appreciate our conversations. Not a lot of return guests on Always Be Testing, so you are an
We
elite company,
There we go.
and we are surviving the winter storm here in Austin area. Uh,
I mean, it's 45 today, so like we're nature's helping us at this point.
yeah, we're on the tail end.
Dude, we're taking credit like Honey did for like getting rid of this winter storm.
Thank you so much, man. It's a
No problem.
pleasure. We'll see you on the next one, and we'll talk soon.
Have a good one. Have a great day,
Thanks,
Ty.
Carmen.
Talk to you soon.
You, sir. Take care. Bye.